Moving on further, we have our next speaker with us for this segment, Dr. Faisal Nadeem Syed. He's a Senior Director APAC People Team at Expedia Group. He will share his insights on creating mindful workplaces, initiating the journey. Faisal brings over 2 decades of extensive experience in human resources functions in startup, hypergrowth, and global business environments across diverse client groups. He has worked in e-commerce, IT, financial services, and insurance industries and is tuned to leading in fast-paced, multicultural, multi-business environment. Away from work, Faisal is a poet, storyteller, and a connoisseur of art and culture. Over to you, Faisal.
Thank you, Vrinda. I want to begin by thanking, first of all, a very, very dear friend of mine, Gaurav, for introducing me to Sapan. And thank you, Sapan. I think this is probably beginning of a what should be a wonderful relationship and a journey and a friendship forward around this. And of course, thank you, Soumil and Rishi and so many other speakers who are here. Brinda, I'm not sure whether to, talk about mindfulness or simply being mindful. I'm guilty of being the last speaker probably in what has been a fair long session. So I actually hold all the cards. You can't switch off the session until I stop speaking. So I'm going to be very, very mindful of this and thank you Monk at Work for giving me this opportunity. So what I thought was that instead of presenting, I will speak, and I know while there is a allotted time that I have, Sapan, I'll try and make sure that we try and wrap up at least a couple of minutes back so that we are all in the position to spend time in a Q&A, which is where in dialoguing is when things happen. So one of the things as a storyteller that I have and as a poet that I very, very passionately believe is to always challenge and ask questions which we all probably know and understand, but sometimes shy away from asking ourselves. So while I've had Soumil and Raj on this, and of course Sapan and Gaurav on this journey of mindfulness, I was also thinking about what is it that I should be using to present and position myself. So there are three thoughts that I want to share with this group, and hopefully during Q&A and otherwise we should be able to do a deep dive into this. So the first provocative thought that came to my mind was that we all, not just this panel, but across the world, across the globe, we've all been impacted by COVID over the last 18-20 months. And working from home, mental health, mental well-being, and so on and so forth are extremely front and center about it. Mindfulness, however, is almost like a stream. It has always been flowing around it. For many of us, we are actually going back and revisiting that place all over again. So a challenge that I had for myself was that, is it currently the latest fashion, the latest next shiny objective, or is it something which is always there, but is being rediscovered, much to the embarrassment of people who have already been following this for a longer period of time. The second thing that I wanted to provoke and ask ourselves was in terms of the fact that from an organizational perspective, from a corporate perspective, which is where you and I and most of us relate to, mindfulness sadly is one of the things which requires a lot of effort, stamina. It's almost like a marathon. It's not like sprint. It's very easy, for example, in the corporate world to identify numbers, put metrics. We have hired so many people. This is what our attrition is, top line, bottom line, so on and so forth. But how do you tell the organizations? How do you put this on the balance sheet? And as the world says, what can't be measured cannot get done. So how do I put mindfulness front and center, not just in the drawing room conversations or on Zoom conversations, but in boardroom conversations, and put this up and say, here is my P&L for mindfulness. So I don't have an answer for that, to be honest. And then, of course, the third for me, which is an irony and probably $1 million question, is that assuming for a moment there was no COVID, our world was going the way it was, the normal. Would we still be having this conference? Would we still be doing this this session. So this is a question to each of us on the session over on the panel over here, which is around the fact that why are we here? Is it because we feel it's an important thing and therefore it needs to be evangelized? I know Raj and spoke about it. Others also spoke about it. I really liked how Rishi did a small session around meditation and being present and being mindful. But I must also admit that I had like few WhatsApps that came through, and when he said, if you are distracted, bring yourself gently back, I didn't. I gently allowed myself to check my WhatsApp answer and then rushed into being mindful. So I think the larger challenge we have as if I may be modest and say leaders in ourselves, why is it important? Who needs it? And is it a continuum? Is it a one-way continuum? I do class 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I never have to go back to class 5. And if I do 10th, I don't have to go back. Or is it a continuum which is 2 ways, which means I can be very mindful today and progress on it, and then over time I can regress. It's almost like physical fitness. I suffer from overweight, I diet, I'm fit, I'm kind of healthy, and then I binge and I become overweight again around. So these are the 3 thoughts that I would love us once this program gets over, but the journey continues for us is to reflect on them. And very quickly, first, is this fashion? Is this something which is the next shiny object? Organizations love it. CEOs love to talk about it. We love to talk about it. And remember, I'm HR. Many of us are HR. So it's very important for us to also go back to our leaders and say, hey, have you spoken about mindfulness and so on and so forth. The second, of course, is the fact that it's a marathon. And how do I put this marathon and not a sprint in a P&L form in the corporate world? Because if I'm not able to do that, that becomes a challenge. And then, of course, the last thing is related to ourselves and just taking an instance to point to ourselves and say, why are we here and what's the reason for being here around it? And how do I genuinely pick up from what, for instance, Ritesh and Vrinda and Sapan and Rishi, Saumil, Raj, all of us, and Katie and others that spoke about, and learn. Because my submission is what may apply to an organization may not apply to others. So the example that I have here is very clearly in India last year, for example, according to some numbers, we had over 1,200 tech startups get registered, and 7 became unicorns in itself. And there were many more, but getting registered and becoming a unicorn. This year, I think only yesterday I was reading, we have had 31 unicorns. Now, great, more power to startups and all that. But for a moment, assume you and I are in a startup. Is mindfulness the right place for us? Or as founders, as CEOs, or co-founders and people, we would be worried about valuation, scale, growth, spread, and all those things which are absolutely essential around it. Or we are a very sedate, well-established, well-funded organization with tons of years of experience behind us, and is mindfulness for us? So that conundrum still remains. If you are talking about mindfulness in an environment which is an extremely self-created, high stress, high pressure environment, and a very go environment, that may have a very different connotation around. Sapan, I'll just pause here because I also want to be conscious of the overall spread of how we are running the program. I can pause here and we can move to a Q&A session as well. And I will be guided by you, or there is one last point that I have, and then we can move ahead with that.
Please, let's take up that point and then we move to Q&A.
You're basically asking me to just get on with it and finish everything, right? All that I have to say. No, so I was. I know many of us spoke about Buddha and his mindfulness, and this is something which is very close to my mind. So I did a Google around mindfulness, and the story on Buddha came through. So if you do stories on mindfulness, trust Google to be more mindful than you and I are. And the story is very simple. So in one of the sermons Buddha went, there were many monks waiting to hear him, and he brought a beautiful silk handkerchief, and everybody was surprised that why is Buddha carrying such a fancy piece of fashion with him. So as Buddha was wont, he sat and he said, "What is this?" And everybody said, "It's a silk handkerchief. It's very beautiful, but what are you doing with it?" And he said, "This handkerchief is like me." Everybody said, "Okay, fine. What does it mean?" And then Buddha went ahead and started tying knots in the handkerchief. And then he said, "Okay, what are these knots?" He said, "Well, suddenly the handkerchief is not there. It's only knots which are there, multiple knots around." And said, "This is what life does to us. We get so many stimuli, so many experiences, events happen in our lives that what is a clean slate becomes all knotted up." And then he started pulling at it. So somebody said, "Buddha, why are you pulling at it?" So Buddha said, "Well, I'm trying to pull so that I'm able to untie the knots." And people said, "No, you're doing it wrong, man. You can't pull the knots and expect them to untie. The harder you pull, the harder the knots will become." And he said, that is mindfulness. When you are aware of your knots and you're able to help untie one at a time, you will become that silk handkerchief all over again. And my learning was that each of us, for us, the journey is not same. It can be very different. Our silk handkerchief can be very different. It can be, a different color, a size, even different material. And the knots that we have in our lives are often self-created, and we are trying very hard pulling them to untie them, which probably not be the best way to do it. Thank you.